Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started this week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Kind of buzzed all because this is how we do it. Been on a 90s kick tonight. I don't know why. So, hey, everybody.
Seriously. Just tell us what you want, what you really... Okay.
Oh,
Ruben, Bressler.
I can't. I've decided I'm no longer going to be a part of this show. I hate to break it to you. This is awkward to do it in front of all these people, but
this was it turns out to be our last, this was a trio.
It was great watching you all.
This is how we do it.
Yeah.
Well, we also
Magic Mike's doing like nobody does.
You want to be my co-host. You got to stop singing karaoke.
Oh, my God. All right, so we also get started with our trumpet blast. You'll get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. Don't have one this week, but we do have a few notes. We have a raid at the end of the show. If you haven't been able to hang out with us, we're going to have a raid. Ruben's going to determine who gets that. Whatever.
That's right. I wield the scepter that we will pass the conch shell onto a random some other streamer that is probably playing Magic.
There you go. The Pauper Premier League is still happening. It is still brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. We'll be online tomorrow at 9 at
nice.
Twitch.tv.
Are you still alive for the playoffs?
No, absolutely not. I went over.
Aww.
Yep, I died. But I'll still play out my last week. It should be fun.
Good.
Do note there is no show next week. Next week, Magic Mike's is basically all going to be at GenCon, or were going to be at GenCon, but then said, nah. GenCon.
Or we'll just be busy, we need
There's still time. I saw Gavin posted an article, which I'm sure we'll talk about tonight, and I got excited for a second there. And then I realized wasn't much happening. So
well, you have a chance. You live near-ish by.
I do. I think the big thing right now is I just need a place to crash. So if anybody has room for me on Saturday night, there is still time for me to change my mind. So
yeah, we will be mostly at GenCon, so there won't be a show next Wednesday. We are still having all of our Patreon streams yet to go. We also have Mike's and Magic. So we'll be around, just won't have this Wednesday night show next Wednesday.
There you go. That said, we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Our giveaway tonight is a very special one brought to you by Ruben at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, so I was at Comic-Con this past weekend. I was there for the Eldraine panel, which we will be discussing. And while there, I got some cool little goodies, including this spicy number. This is a Look at Me, I'm the DCI. Lighting. I don't know if we can see it there. This is a Mark Rosewater illustrated Magic the Gathering card with a silver border from the Unglued expansion. And it's signed by Mr. Mark Rosewater himself.
Who knows who you are.
Who knows who I am and knows that I do an impression of him.
Yes.
So that was hilarious. And so that's really nice, and that'll be part of the giveaway. But most of the value will be coming from this here Core Set 2020 Premium Promo Pack, which I believe I've been seeing eBaying for right around the $40 to $50 mark. I'm no MTG fine aunt, so I don't know exactly what these are going for, but I got one of these straight from Steve Sunu's jacket pocket, and these will be the giveaway this week. And in addition, whoever wins will know my return address, so that's great. Please don't send me.
You change addresses like you're running from child support, though. So it's not like you're really going to have any.
I've got more addresses than Ludacris has ladies in different area codes. To toss.
Somebody in the chat is asking if they'll sign the pack if they win.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. I'll sign the pack right now with this Sharpie.
Okay. Not everyone wants the pack signed.
That's a fair point.
It's fine.
If they win, whoever wins can tell me if they want it signed. I got a Sharpie. There we go.
Somebody's just
I'm not going to lower the value of a pack that's... Never mind.
All right, well, exclamation mark raffle gets you in there. If you are a subscriber to the channel, you get 2 entries. So you have an incentive now. And that said, let's go ahead and talk about our first pick. It has to be Throne of Eldraine. We officially have the name of our fall set. We have our theme of the fall set, which is the Camelot meets Grimm's Fairy Tales. I'll go ahead and bring up some artwork here. The announcement article from Mark Rosewater where he talks about all the changes. And Throne of Eldraine is there. Is that was it the Kenrith brother and sister?
That is Rowan Kenrith.
Rowan and Will. It is confirmed that this is the plane that they come from. I saw somebody speculating that they are the kids that eat the gingerbread house.
Are they like Hansel and Gretel or whatever?
I don't know. I think that'd be really neat if it was true, but we're seeing a lot of very familiar elements. There was a gingerbread man running from a house. You see a frog being crowned, which is like the frog prince. There's somebody that appears to be Rapunzel. We have the witch with the apple. We have a gingerbread house. We have what appears to be Camelot. There was an art that was very reminiscent of the Little Mermaid. So this is really striking a lot of chords with people, and the art is just beautiful. Like, people were just slain over this.
Absolutely. I think that it's entirely possible that this is combination Hansel and Gretel, also Little Red Riding Hood, also Jack of Jack and the Beanstalk coming together to be those two main characters.
There was a Goldilocks. They also confirmed there is a big bad wolf in the set, which wouldn't it be funny if that was Garrick? I mean,
right there you go. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is everything I like from a fantasy perspective. I love old fairy tales. I love the classic stories, the romance of Camelot with the sort of overarching antique, bespoke creepiness of Grimm's fairy tales. And this is going to be a really fun set and really interesting mechanics wise, because we don't even know what the mechanics are. We just know what one of the cards looks like. Mm-hmm. It has a mechanic of some kind on it that is causing a whole bunch of consternation and people trying to figure out exactly what it means, which is super cool too.
Yeah, so we have some amount of new card frames where they're saying, hey, look at the new card frame. It's this creature that kind of has a split text box for some reason, and they're not going to tell us why. And then they have the showcase frame, which we'll explain here in just a second, but it's basically super cool, super fiddly, really awesome. Got little bits that are kind of winding around as vines and things, and it's great.
It looks like a book.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So Wizards is continuing to experiment, as they do.
Good.
And I want them to, don't get me wrong, this is all good stuff. There is going to be essentially 3 official boosters for Throne of Eldraine.
This is where I get lost.
And this is where it gets a little rough. Firstly, there's going to be the draft booster. This is what we would describe as a booster pack. This is the good old-fashioned. We know it's, 14 magic cards and a tip card or whatever. Like, we know that's a good old-fashioned magic pack. That's not changing. They're just going to call it a draft pack just for moniker's sake. You can understand what we're talking about. The second type of pack is the one they've been selling in mass market and shops, which is the themed booster. These are going to be color themed booster. Of course, for Ravnica, they were guild themed boosters. But this is where you buy the booster, and it's got like so many cards of that color, and you know that there's only going to be the stuff in that color, and you can get rares and mythics and stuff out of it for those colors. So that is the 2. And then they have something brand new. I'll bring it up here on the screen so I'll try my best not to get it wrong. They are going to have the draft booster here. You see the theme booster with the evil stepmother on the front of it for the black theme. That's going to be awesome.
Perfect.
And now there's the collector booster. This has never existed before. The collector booster is a 15-card booster pack that has packaging with an image they don't want to show us. The expectation that these are going to cost from $20 to $25 per booster pack, depending on your region and where you shop. Okay, fine. You'll have access to more foil cards as well as to various treatments that he talked about above, such as the extended art Planeswalker stuff, which is a thing. They had the extended art frames and borderless Planeswalkers. Those are going to be part of this collector booster, the only place you're going to find them. They're going to be available only in English and Japanese, and they're going to be a limited print run of these things.
Yep.
So there's only going to be so many made. Now, there's going to be 15 cards and 1 token card in each pack. So each pack is guaranteed to have 1 rare or mythic rare from Throne of Eldraine with extended art, 1 foil rare or mythic rare from Throne of Eldraine, 9 foil commons and uncommons from Throne of Eldraine and the ancillary sets, and we'll get to that here in a second, 3 special frame cards. These are showcase cards with the fiddly bits or borderless planeswalkers like we have for the mythic editions, 1 ancillary card, and 1 foil token. And so he tries to walk you through, and I won't go through every last little nitty-bitty gritty, but the idea is that this is where they're able to put some really cool things in here. The ancillary card, for example, could be the buy-a-box card, which means they are going to print a non-foil buy-a-box version in these packs.
If you're as confused by all of this as I am, somebody on Twitter made a graph that breaks this down for you. I'm going to post the link. They made
an Excel spreadsheet
They made an Excel spreadsheet. And can I just say that if you need a spreadsheet to understand this, Wizards, you might want to rethink your strategy here. So I'm going to go ahead and post this in a chat.
I disagree. I think that this is great.
So
actually, well, I won't go ahead and bring up that chart. There was one chart, and then somebody made another one, which is a little bit simpler, but it's still very, very hard to kind of understand. You see here we have borderless Planeswalker showcase cards, tokens, emblem, extended art cards, as well as buy box promos, Planeswalker deck cards, and brawl cards, which we haven't even gotten to yet. And they all have their various foil and non-foil versions. They have the draft booster or collector booster options, maybe, kind of.
Absolutely not.
And it's just
what's the problem, y'all?
It's a little confusing, is what I'll give them that.
You don't have to understand it. You just need the packs, right? You're just going to open the packs and get Magic cards.
It's not packs.
If you want a booster pack, you can put the red zone up. If you want the booster pack,
here we go.
No, y'all are complaining just to complain. So
what?
If you're complaining just to complain. You're complaining to hear yourself complain about things.
Oh my god.
So if you want a booster pack, you can get a booster pack. Yay!
That's your first mistake. I don't want a booster pack. So
then this isn't for you, Aaron, and thereby you don't get to complain about it. So, if you want a booster pack, if you want to draft some Magic cards, you can still do that. Magic will still continue to exist. If you want to get the themed boosters, like they existed for Dominaria or for Ravnica, those will continue to exist. And if you want these collector packs, guess what? No more Mythic Edition, everybody!
Yay.
We have collector packs instead, I hope, which are going to have all of these new things in it that are going to be like these super premium, exciting packs that you can open, similar to, but not the same as, and certainly not as ridiculous to get as the Mythic Edition. So you just have more options. I was at the panel. The reason why these were created, Mark Rosewater says, is to give people more agency in what they want to open. So if you are a collector, if you are someone who wants all those premium things, you can buy the premium packs. And you can get less of the chaff in there to be able to have more wheat of your collection and get more going quicker for you to pay, if you pay more money for a more expensive booster pack. So you have more options with more booster packs. I don't see how having more options is bad.
No, it's fine. Ultimately, what I would say is that, and also note that from what I understand, at least from the chat here, this does not mean there's no more Mythic Editions. If Wizards wants to go to that $3 million, hole to dig it up, it's fine. You can do that if they want. But ultimately, the idea that this is ultimately a replacement for Mythic Editions is cool. The only thing I would concern myself with right now, or just take advantage of it, is Wizards is doing this for the first time. And every single time Wizards does something different and weird and new for something that could be a bunch of money, like the Mythic Editions, like other opportunities, like the first Modern Masters, like Ultimate Masters, when they added the box topper, those products all ended up being way more valuable than what their price tag essentially suggested. And even if this collector booster is going to be a mass market, which it is, and that's a very important point, you're going to be able to find these at Walmart and Target.
Right.
Even so, they have promised a one-time print run, which means once they're gone, they're gone. And once they're out of stock, the only way you're going to get those crazy showcase cards, those alternate art foil, borderless whatevers, is through these packs, and you get them and they're gone. I would easily expect these things to explode in value. I can imagine, at least based on early reports, they're not making nearly enough. Everyone's going to go hog wild over these things, and they're going to disappear from store shelves. Now, another point about the collector booster I thought was brilliant was that Wizard said if you buy a box of Throne of Eldraine, you'll get the buy a box promo and a collector's pack. And I was like, oh, that's dope. I'm buying me a box. And they were like, wait. What we meant was, we're going to give you a lot of packs, a lot of collector packs, but not exactly 1-to-1 ratio of buy a box promos to collector packs. So, so ultimately, this is absolutely free money that Wizards is giving stores. So that's amazing, and Wizards are great for that. But it also does create a scenario where each store has to figure out who's going to get the collector packs, how they're going to give them out. Is there a lottery situation? Is it first come, first serve? Are they going to charge a different price for those that include collector packs? These are all options that stores have on the table for what should be a very, very exciting product. If you get one of these collector packs, just don't open it. You're going to get way more value of just selling this thing sealed. Hold on to it. Let's talk about it in a year, and we'll see like exactly what these things did.
Are we cool? Are we cool with our argument?
We're cool.
All right, we don't need the overlay.
It's
You're
fine.
not that wrong, so I don't hate you that much.
Okay, just a little bit.
A little bit.
It's fine. Well, they did a really cool thing where they invited people to the royal courts of Eldraine, which is really nice. And of course, they featured some fairies, so everybody and their mama flipped out, went and bought all the secluded glens, and
That was hilarious.
and then Rosewater was like, "We include some fairies, but it's not like a fairy
Right.
set." So
Yeah.
so that's awkward.
Yeah, when they first talked about the set, I thought that it may have been the Seelie and the Unseelie court of fairy fame, of Scottish and Gaelic folklore, which would have had a lot of fairy things in it, things like Secluded Glen, but it seems like there might be fairies. They are fairy tales, after all.
Yeah, I would expect some, but in terms of like, are they going to be as good as they used to be? Probably not.
And there won't be in as great a number, most likely. So.
Right. One thing that did come out of it was some incredible key art from our friend Seb McKinnon.
Oh man, that art is ridiculous.
It is absurd. It is so good.
Yeah, Seb has crushed it, as Seb does. Clearly, it won't let me click on that thing, so I can go look at it.
And Seb was ready with that hustle. Like the night it came out, he's like, "Oh, I got Prince. You like Prince? I got Prince." Like he was on it.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
Didn't he do something on one of the Magic streams where like they had him on?
Yeah, he was a guest on the
leading up to it. So he was on top of it.
Nice. Yeah, so the art is on screen right now for your purview. If you didn't notice, like that incredible sort of ghost angel type creature, obviously the Planeswalker symbol with the towers is amazing.
Someone thought that was Aminatu.
Ooh, well, that'd be cool. And then of course,
yeah, it's possible.
But I think it was felt that it wasn't her.
Yeah, it's just a spirit character. But you have the apple with the bite out of it, which is great.
My favorite art of all of this, which is very on brand, was I loved the evil queen with like the cow and the baby hands, bitch.
Yeah,
arms.
Climbing out of her chest.
I was done. I was like, I have never wanted to be a thing more in my life. I was like, I need a print. I need to play that. I need to be this. I was like,
I want the phone case.
The phone case looks insane, doesn't it? Doesn't it look insane?
Yeah, it looks so good.
Oh my god, it looks so cool. So
I love my phone case, but man, I might have to switch it up for this.
Yeah,
that's really impressive. So that said, again, obviously Seb was on his on doing well on his business side, ready with those links to go. The artwork is absolutely incredible. The artwork we're getting out of this set looks amazing. And one thing I would note is that the idea of taking Grimm's fairy tales and stuff and doing stuff with it, Japanese RPGs or Japanese CCGs have been doing this for years. To ridiculous success. Force of Will was doing terrible. They decided to go all in on Little Red Riding Hood and the other fairy tales, and kaboom, they exploded in sales. So
brilliant.
This to me is a fantastic direction for Magic. I hope they don't screw it up. Because the opportunity here is unbelievable.
The other thing that Eldraine does that I think is really underrated is that it's very Innistrad, in that you can see a card and just sort of get the essence of what it's telling you.
Right.
You can look at Scorn Villager and recognize what that is and what it's communicating to you. You can look at Mayor of Averbrook and understand what that's communicating, or Delver of Secrets, or Lingering Souls. It's very easy to grok. And if you look at a little girl with 3 bear heads behind her, you know what that means.
Yeah.
If we see a beanstalk card, we know what that is telling us. And we see the twins. We understand that the Hansel and Gretel meet. Like it's all part of the language of what we've already grown up with. So I love that they're tapping into that even harder.
I want to touch on one more thing regarding the announcement. So while MaRo was there, he also did a Q&A, and I think he answered some really, really nifty questions that I thought we could talk about as well. Some of the things that stood out to me is somebody had asked him, what is your biggest success or failure over the past 3 years? He said his biggest success over the last 3 years was War of the Spark, and his biggest failure was Ixalan. And I was like, wow, that really took me by surprise. Somebody asked about Garrick. He said that they have big plans for Garrick, and that when Garrick comes back, you cannot miss him.
All plans for Garrick are big plans.
They said don't expect any more rare or uncommon planeswalkers anytime soon. Max support is on the list for Arena, no timeline. There was also some talk about reorganization that happened within WotC, and he said it mostly had to do with delegating more people to the Arena team. So that was really cool. Arena's making more people play paper Magic, which we'll certainly talk about later. And just some really, really great points here. My friend Chris did a live tweet at the panel, and so MaRo answered some really nice questions.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you, like, Ixalan was a failure. Ixalan didn't work.
Really? Wow.
Somehow they screwed up pirates and dinosaurs. I still don't understand it. But there's a few reasons I think that are clear in the rear view, which is it was one of the, I think it was the last set that had 2 sets as a part of it. Was that correct? So there was that. So there was that fatigue of rivals. You had 4 tribes, and drafting was uncomfortable, I think, at best. You either, like, totally ran into the tribe that no one else was drafting, or you couldn't put a pile together to save your life, which basically said how important changelings are to the tribal type sets. And none of the 4 factions, none of those 4 tribes were worth a crap in standard. No dinosaur deck, no vampire deck, no merfolk deck. I mean, come on, seriously, no pirate deck. No, none of them. And they just finally made Marauding Raptor or whatever to give you like a breath of hope of like what could have been.
The only reason the tribes are seeing any play now is because of cards that just came out. The vampire deck is good because of Sorin. The dinosaur deck is good because of Regisaur and something else. The merfolk deck needed so many cards to get it off the ground. I can see that. I guess I wasn't expecting it. I don't know why.
I mean, it's fine. But again, Amonkhet didn't, Amonkhet did I think a fine job, but Ixalan itself just, look, and again, this is in the rear view. It's just the worst of what we have, and that's unfortunate.
I think that in terms of calling it a failure, that might be an over-exaggeration. Certainly the gap between the ceiling of what it could be and expectations and what it ended up being was the widest. And so I think that in that essence, he's right.
There you go. All right, so let's move here to Gather the Townsfolk. We're going to talk about Mythic Championship IV this weekend. And I think... I personally have very little sort of excitement these days for the Pro Tour, for the Mythic Championships. Wizards has slowly but surely completely dismantled what you would describe as the dream, or as the ability to get on the train. Pro points don't even really exist anymore technically. Something about Mythic points and who can earn them and how much they matter. Players number 33 through 500,000 feel ignored, I think, at best in terms of competitive play. And we'll talk a little bit later about, I think, some of the effects of that. But at the end of the day, okay, it's a Mythic Championship. I hope it goes okay. Hope there's some interesting decks.
I'm more interested to see decks and cards than I am people, if I'm being completely honest. I'm anxious to see where Modern goes after the bridge banning. I'm anxious to see what cards from Modern Horizons we see more play, because I feel like since the banning we have seen more cards break out, which is great. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to, but I don't have too much of a personal attachment. I obviously have friends who are there, and by default I want them to do well, but outside of that I just don't feel strongly about it.
It's tough and it's awkward, and between the uncomfortable kind of weird, you guys, we see you kind of buying views, which is kind of awkward. And then we see that you kind of brag about your views as a result of those purchases, which is also awkward. And then also that they don't do that for paper events. The last paper Mythic Championship, like 25K viewers, maybe 30 to 40K tops. Yeah. And when you have, the arena ones are suddenly 50K minimum up to 100K plus. And that's sort of orchestrated. It's really uncomfortable.
They're also just such radically different formats and such different events, where it's like, you're watching these arena events and there's chairs and there's, a cam in your face and there's sparks and there's all of these things. And then you go to almost this chess tournament where it's quieter and it's more intimate, and it's harder to see a lot of the things, and there's judge calls, and it's a very stark difference for people that are used to one experience to have to get used to the other. And I think the lack of consistency there is very jarring too.
Yeah, it's part of this growing pains that we have been talking about since they said that they were going to be making this shift.
Right.
Since this show's been on air so long that it's not even called the Pro Tour anymore, people. Mm-hmm. And it's complicated moving from the tabletop card game to trying to be, one of the cool kids, Steve Buscemi in a backwards baseball cap, one of these newfangled esports. So, it's a real big culture shift, and it's a huge coverage shift as well. So, it's not surprising. It's disappointing, but to me, it's just not surprising at all that they are having these issues where you're putting these types of Mythic Championships on, and also the Arena Mythic Championships on the same channel with the same branding, and they are so vastly different. It's not surprising that viewers are getting whiplash, and numbers are suffering as a result. It's a branding issue, really. I would not be terribly upset if paper events were called Pro Tours and arena events were called Mythic Championships. And they just made that divide permanent and made sure that divide was always there. But I think that they're going to stay with the current course. And you know what? I'm happy for them to try to stick it out, because most of the time the things they try end up succeeding, whether by just momentum or because they're actually good ideas. The problem for me is I'm just not excited. I don't care. Like we as the podcast aren't even doing the fantasy draft this week because, like Aaron, we just couldn't get it up for this event. Usually it's a problem that Aaron has that she can't get excited for things, right? Evan doesn't have an excitement problem. He's the enthusiasm enthusiast and also #5kids. I usually can at least feign interest in new sets or new events.
You do fake it well.
I'm not bad at faking. I am an actor. And so, but we couldn't do it. We just didn't feel like we could stick it out for 10 minutes to do a fantasy draft.
It's this kind of like this slow gear grind of what's an MPL, what is happening next year, why do I care, why should I show up to these events?
MPL, boy, I should add that to the hashtag gear list. Yeah,
that definitely goes up for the Mixies, because I just want to know, because there's only the longer you go in the dark, the worse it always feels. And even as the fears about the stores earlier this year turned out to be boogeymen to jump at, no shadows or whatever, but if that's the thing, could you just let us know? Could you talk to CFB and have them update their schedule and talk to us about what it means to be players 33 through 1 million? That sure would be nice, because right now it appears no one cares and no one has any idea how to get into those 32 slots. Nothing. Right. Zero. Nada. Zilch. Good luck. All right. We'll move on here to the Netflix series was spoken a little bit more this past week or so, where the Russo brothers were basically explaining that, that storyline's cute. We like your Nicol Bolas thing is nice, and wasn't it cute about the Eternals and stuff, but we're going to go kind of do our own thing.
Sure.
And I am personally totally okay with that. When they made Iron Man, they didn't go, adopt a comic, series or arc. They just went and made an Iron Man movie with Robert Downey Jr. and it ended up being amazing. Yeah. So if they make a magic show, go nuts, man, whatever, it's fine.
I like that they also said that they're going to keep dead characters dead, which I thought was interesting, that they're not doing any sort of, if they are doing any retconning, it's not going to be Jurassic enough to where, Kieran Millar is not going to come back or anything like that.
This is if they kill Uncle Ben, he's going to stay dead, and that's going to be how Spider-Man came to be, and whatever, so
which is interesting, because I remember we talked about on this very show that from a story perspective, I remember they said that they weren't going to do that, where we used the Jace's toe metaphor, where they were like, I guess somewhere down the line, Jace had like a frostbitten toe. And I believe Nick did an interview at Gathering Magic or Cool Stuff where he was like, the toe might be there, or it might not be there. And so for the purposes of the paper story, it seems like they weren't worried about that continuity. And it's refreshing to see that with the TV show, they seem very committed to that, where they're not going to be giving you like, an Ixalan Jace and a Ravnica Jace, there's different Spider-Mans and different Batmans. And so it seems like for the Netflix, they're going to give you just one experience.
It's going to be really interesting as to who leans into what, right? Yeah. Because if they're doing their own thing, but let's just say it's very successful. Let's say that this series is one of Netflix's best. We'll watch it and we love it. The Russo brothers killed it. Well, then Wizards should absolutely be leaning into everything about that show, making cards with images from that show as promos and yada, yada. Mm-hmm. That stuff takes time. And if they bet on that horse and that series fails, what happens?
Or the opposite, where the show is great and they don't have the bandwidth to do that. One of my favorite examples I love is I'm a big Batman the animated series was my childhood. Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was a character that started off kind of on the show, and the comics caught wind of that and then developed her, and now look at her, she's getting her own franchise. And so, does Wizards have the capacity to do that? Do they have the attention span and the resources to catch if they create a new trend or a new thing? Will they run with that, or will they just kind of put their fingers in their ears and not notice it?
I mean, my guess is they'll probably introduce at least one new planeswalker as a result.
And to be fair, they did catch on to Fabulthip. I mean, not necessarily on a large scale, but they did listen to Fabulthip went from being just sort of this minor character in the background of a card to having his own legendary card. So I think it's possible.
So, Brawl. Brawl was a format that we were all
is a format.
Was a format announced last year. Just go ahead and throw that out there. Was a format that began last year and was essentially standard Commander. And it was pretty neat to be able to use all the Dominaria legends as these Brawl commanders, which was kind of neat. All right, sure. It felt a little sort of like we want you to keep buying standard cards and standard packs for your Brawl decks to keep those up, because normally when you make a commander deck, it doesn't change very much, and that means Wizards isn't going to sell a lot of packs as a result of you having commander decks. But if you have a commander deck that needs to be changing or has new spells for it, you're going to keep doing that. That said, while there was a lot of enthusiasm to start with, it kind of died, and then kind of out of nowhere, they're like, yo, we're making Brawl decks. And I'm like, really? Okay. Sure. So it was a little uncomfortable in the idea of how long, and this is, something I talked about in the pre-show, of how long it takes things for Wizards to react to things. And I think sometimes it's almost overwhelming for them. But that said, they're going to hit the gas on Brawl once again. They're going to make 4 different Brawl decks. They're going to have 20 unique cards that aren't in draft boosters, but they can be found in collector boosters. That's not weird or confusing. And each deck has 7 of them. 4 cards unique to that deck, 1 card shared with the other with one other Brawl deck, and 2 cards shared with each other Brawl deck. Cards are all legal in Standard and all other formats, which is fun. And they already previewed a few cards. There was Arcane Signet, which was a 2-mana artifact that taps to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity.
Sweet card for Commander,
It's an excellent card for Commander. And then later even revealed another card. Let's see if I can bring it up here on the screen for you guys. This would be a legendary creature that's going to be in one of the Brawl decks, because Arcades the Strategist is going to rotate out, and we get to see Chulane, Teller of Tales, as our new Bant legendary creature, blue, white, green, and 2 generic mana for a 2/4 mythic legendary human druid. It has vigilance, and whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. You may pay 3 generic mana, tap, return target creature you control to its owner's hand.
That card is dope.
That card is high amounts of dope.
Card is super cool.
Can bounce itself? Yeah.
Can bounce itself, has vigilance, so you're able to attack, and it can still do its thing. I'm also in favor of anything that has a giant book in the foreground. Book commander, I think, is a subculture of the archetype that I'm interested in. So I think that card is super interesting to build around, and will be legal in Standard.
Yes, will be legal in Standard.
Cool.
Nice art by Victor Minguez too.
Yeah, did great things. I don't necessarily... I'm looking for a release date, because what he does note here is 2 things. 1, Brawl is coming to Magic Arena, and I am stoked. Oh my god, I'm stoked.
That is dope.
There are a few things as fun as Singleton on Arena.
That was always where Brawl was going to be the best, anyway. Right. And I'm interested to see how they implement Commander formats on Arena. That opens the door later to things like Oathbreaker, to things like traditional Commander, so I'm definitely all for it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm super pumped, because he notes here there's going to be a Brawl event on October 26th through 27th at your local game store. And as a result of going to that, they're going to provide a unique code for Magic Arena for a Brawl cosmetic item. I'm not sure what that is yet, but I can imagine it's going to be sweet. And again, I'm not sure exactly what the date for this release is, but we will let you know as soon as we do. So Wizards is leaning into Brawl, and we'll see if that pays off for them.
Yeah, and
I'm just pumped for the arena bonus.
The format was always going to. It was a format created by internally at Wizards. It always needed to have the push from Wizards in order for it to be popular. It wasn't grown out in the sticks like Commander was, or like several of these other formats that have picked up in popularity. It wasn't created by the community. The fact that it was created in-house meaning that it needed the in-house push to get it out of the nest and into the hands of people.
Right.
So I'm glad that they're finally putting some attention into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is better suited for Arena, where you can't necessarily play Commander as we know it, or you might not be able to play Oathbreaker on there. I think that's sort of the place for it. I think it looks a lot more awkward in paper, where you can just play Canadian Highlander, you can just play Commander. It does at that point. It's like, why would you just play Brawl? But for the formats that don't have that, I think Brawl's a really good thing.
Yeah, this is making precons and getting an arena. Like, those are the two things you need if you're trying to do something new in Standard and want to see it succeed. Yeah. So this is the next phase of Brawl, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Hasbro released their Quarter 2 2019 results. TLDR, they made a whole bunch of money. And they particularly said Magic Arena. And they just kept saying Magic Arena, and they just kept saying Magic and Digital and Esports and Arena and Magic and Digital and Esports. And oh my God, we made so much money. Have you seen the amount of money? Their revenues are up 23% for the gaming brand. That's a lot of money.
They didn't mention any of their other products, I don't believe. Like, they didn't mention My Little Pony. They didn't mention...
Now, they mentioned Monopoly, which they license out to a lot of people.
Sure.
And they mentioned Magic, because Magic now has Arena rocking and rolling, and they're making a ton of money on digital ones and zeros.
I do find it really interesting, and we might touch on this a little bit later. And MaRo touched on this a little bit with his Q&A too. The idea that Arena is bringing more people to paper Magic.
Yeah,
because we've been seeing sort of this decline regarding tournament Magic over the last couple of years. Attendance has been quite poor at GPs and Opens and things like that. And we'll talk about how Denver had in particular record low attendance. So it's interesting to hear them say that, and then on the one hand see that it's not happening with competitive Magic. But from what I hear, it's happening at the local levels. Like, I have a couple of friends on Twitter who work at stores, and they're saying they're seeing record FNMs and record pre-release. So it's interesting that we're not seeing that at the higher levels, but at the lower levels, it seems to be working.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, also Pokemon right now is absolutely exploding.
Really?
Yeah, the Pokemon card game is doing unbelievably well. The last set was like ridiculous, and this new set is just as good.
Cool.
That said, from the Hasbro call, they noted that there was strong growth. The largest gains were from tabletop, as they said. They said they saw Arena and Game represent their second highest growth in the quarter. In-store player growth was up 12%. New player growth up 11%. That's a huge number, double digits.
I actually think that it makes a lot of sense that the competitive tabletop scene is going down in number while all of these other numbers are going up. That's where the rejiggering of resources is coming in.
Right.
You need to pull out, to raise the tide over here, it needs to go down somewhere else. And so that makes sense to me. It's unfortunate, but it makes total sense.
So They noted that Modern Horizons, the response was, quote, tremendous, most comparable to, quote, something we released in fourth quarter of 2018, aka Ultimate Masters. They're seeing real momentum around MTG Arena. Late in the quarter, M20 continues to ship into Q3. With a lot of news for the back half of the year, I'm expecting at least one more set that we haven't been told about that'll drop probably in December or something.
For sure. They always release something around those times. The other thing for Hasbro is that it's particularly about Magic is that it is strong year-round.
Yeah.
A lot of their brands are only strong during the holiday season, or really are the moneymakers during the holiday season, or during, when they release films like the Transformers.
Yeah.
And so Magic is just always, always, always on the top line, particularly in those sort of dearth periods like the dog days of summer.
Well, they note here they see the opportunity to double WotC's brand over the next 5 years, which is a big undertaking. But Magic is performing higher than expectations. The underlying growth and engagement in Arena is substantial, as they mention here. Magic has been on a growth trajectory. It's part of the plan regarding the brand overall. They're very happy with the progress and set up well for launch later this year. The official, it's out of beta Arena launch. Which is great. Arena is fueling tabletop growth compared Q2 this year being bigger than Q4 of last year, which is impressive.
It is.
With this being part of it, as Modern Horizons was a big one, as well as War of the Spark was unbelievable.
Sure.
They note that Wizards MTG has doubled in size over the last number of years. They don't say how many. Sure. But, they also note, of course, the animated series is coming, which is very exciting. And again, it's just like Arena, look at how much money we made. Isn't it nice to sell digital objects?
I recall them also mentioning Magic Online in like a nice way. I don't remember where I saw that, but I think that came up as well, of like continuing to, devote resources to it and it performing fine. And
They mentioned it one time. Now, I could be wrong, but I listened to the call and I heard it once.
Okay, that's fine.
Which is just fine. No big deal.
Yeah, I think that this is mostly good news, almost exclusively good news for Magic. I am still concerned that because Magic is everything and is always making money, that Hasbro will continue to do what they've always done, which is essentially squeeze as much as they can out of Magic the Gathering players with these premium sales like the Mythic editions.
Right.
And you can only squeeze so much before there's some amount of backlash. We aren't there yet. We sure aren't there yet. But even with this most recent one, there was a lot of upset and disappointment, and shipped toothbrushes, among other things. The other thing that concerns me a little bit about this is that again, let me phrase it this way. Boy, I love that Arena's doing so well. It sure would be nice if there were a functional pro league.
Sure would be nice if the organized play system didn't feel like complete shambles right now.
Which is crazy, considering how organized play was like the top line good thing that Magic had for so long. And now it seems like it had a bunch of resources pulled out of it and a bunch of people left. And it's a shell of its former self, unfortunately.
My main concern is that Wizards quickly went and hired a bunch of esports people from Hearthstone when Hearthstone literally stopped doing their esports the way they were doing it to go do it more like Wizards organized play. And we've done this weird flip, and you're just expecting it to be successful because of Magic when Hearthstone tried it. And when you just start picking sort of winners and losers and who can be in tournaments and who can't, it gets pretty disenfranchising pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's keep moving here. We have GenCon next week. The reason we will not have a live show, they are going to have a custom playmat. Let's take a look at it here. Pastimes is going to be having a Magic exclusive 36 stained glass Planeswalker playmats. There's the regular size, which is 14 inch by 24 inch, or the desktop size, where you get another 8 inches, 14 inches by 32 inches. Supplies being limited, and these are pictures of all of the stained glass Planeswalkers. And
it is busy.
It is a lot of pictures, and what I would note is that this looks exactly like someone had a great idea in a Skype call or whatever, and they're like, look, we'll make this. We'll just put all the Planeswalkers and make a thing for Gen Con. It'd be great. And they said, yeah, sure, do it. And then they did it, and they're like, that's a lot of colors. That's a lot of pictures. Can you imagine trying to put your cards on it and play on that thing? And then they're like, well, we kind of went too far in the thing, and approvals take a long time, so why don't we just print this and just go with it? And here we are. Yeah. That's what it feels like. I think they certainly tried to make a really cool playmat, and maybe it's not as bad as we're imagining in the real world, but from the pictures of them, holy cow, that's a lot of images going a whole lot of different directions.
One playmat that I'm particularly excited about, I just posted in the chat, CFB is going to be hosting an old school championship at MTG Vegas, and the playmat is a Legends booster.
Yeah, that is a sexy looking playmat.
And so I'm trying to decide if I want to play in that or not. I've never played a game of old school in my life, but I have some friends who've offered to loan me the cards, and so I might do it and just sort of scrub out just to get this amazing playmat. So this to me is really well done.
Wow, yeah. I did not see this at this very moment. This is awesome.
It's a really good idea, and this is simple. It tells the story, right? And it's clean. You can see where your cards are. I love this playmat.
Yeah.
It's using the old fonts and the old colors. Oh my God, I love this. I can't tell you how much, as an old school player, I love this. So let's do more of that, please. That's amazing.
Less is more. It's like Coco Chanel says, take one planeswalker off your map before you leave the house.
There you go. Perfect.
Bit of some uncomfortable news for one Brad Nelson, my former set review buddy and MPL member, who unfortunately cannot represent the MPL nature of his status here at the Mythic Championship IV.
This because I didn't. The rule that got him in trouble, I didn't know that.
I'll be honest, I didn't either, but you got to make sure your passport isn't within 3 months of expiring when you try to fly internationally. They told him no, and it looks like he was too far gone to try to do the, the last minute, try to, pay a whole bunch of money and get your passport in 24 hours or whatever, because it's like it's Wednesday, it's about to be Thursday, and then you got a whole day of like stuff they want to do for filming and whatnot over for the Mythic Championship, and then you have the event itself. So even if you were to get the thing done and the plane flight, it probably wouldn't work out very well. So.
And different countries have different policies for this as well. I know that I had a bit of a passport adventure trying to get to Canada for the pre-release. This was before I lived in LA, and I had to get a last-second passport. Drove to LA to the passport office to get. But Canada and slightly different relationship with Europe, and so it's unfortunate. This has happened to folks before, if I recall correctly. Maybe not someone as high profile as Brad for a Mythic Championship, certainly, but you live and you learn, and then you don't do it again. And it's unfortunate, but he's taking it in stride, which is good. Right. So,
and let's be honest, if there's any format that Brad could probably skip, it's
modern.
I love Brad. I'm just saying he is a standard maestro. He's a master at standard. So that's a thing. Regardless, speaking of things and updates I was not expecting, you remember they advertised a mobile app on the side of the Guilds of Ravnica booster boxes?
Sure don't.
Called Portal, at which Carrie has done nothing but skewer left and right on Twitter.
It's one of the go-to punchlines for one of the go-to meme accounts of Magic the Gathering.
Absolutely. Yes. So Kendra Smith noted, hey, what's up with that Portal app? Wasn't it supposed to be really cool? And gosh, you're supposed to be able to run customized Magic tournaments for your play group and able to, the complete card database at your fingertips. That sounds really cool. And they actually got a response that Bill Stark from the Starkington Post fame from back in the day.
My first ever editor as a Magic the Gathering writer.
Nice. Well, Bill Stark is excellent people, and he notes the companion app is in internal testing. I'll have more news to share with MTG players as we continue to make progress. #WotC staff. So,
nice.
Look, developing an app is tough. I've done it. It's slow. It's hard. It's iterative. It takes time. There's a lot of bugs. There's a lot of things you have to plan for. Don't even get me started about how there's 8 trillion Android devices, and all of them have different screen resolutions versus iOS that has like 4. So, trying to make all those things happy and all those things work and all of it makes sense is incredibly complex. So good luck to them on getting that thing finished. Magic the Gathering Arena has been absolutely crushing it lately.
I've heard of the program.
Yeah, all right. Well, they are going to create some new events. These are the they call them Chronicle events, where there's going to be no entry fee. You just play, and if you win, you get rewards, and if you lose nothing, which is kind of fun. From July 28th to August 27th, they're going to have different weeks of them, which is awesome. They're going to have guild battles for one of the week. This is going to let you earn 6 new basic lands to your collection. Excuse me. These are going to be extended art basic lands, and then you can add those extended art basics to all of your decks moving forward.
Ooh.
You're going to choose one of the guilds. They have built different decks. You get to choose one of those decks. You can't build your own, and play in the event and see how you do.
Okay,
great.
That seems fine.
Yeah, and their first win will also get you 1,000 XP, which will help on that mastery track thing.
Cool.
Which is great. Then they're going to be talking about the guild battle, and after the guild battle, they're going to be these. There's going to be standard shakeup. Oh my God, I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is not an indication of any ban restricted announcement, but what it is standard with like 20 of the most popular cards banned. No History of Benalia, no Nexus of Fate, no Arclight Phoenix, no Light Up the Stage, no Rekindling Phoenix, no Nissa Who Shakes the World, no Teferis, no Teferi, you out, you go home. Teferis. No Wild Growth Walker, no Risen Reef, all of these cards that were kind of seen over and over and expecting. Now you have a standard event with all of these things banned, and I cannot wait to see the crazy brews we're going to be able to play as a result. Now, last special event here looks to be Landfall, which is interesting. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you're going to exile the top card of your library. If it's a land, you put it in your hand. If it's a creature, you put it on the bottom of your library and make a 1/1 green plant token. And if the card is a non-creature, non-land card, you drain your opponent for 1, and you put that card on the bottom of your library. So, okay. Lots of interesting interactions there. Sounds like fun. And also improvements to the game installer here until this very release. Every time you had to update Arena, you had to download the entire 2 gig program.
I hated that. It was so annoying. I still hate that because it's still happening, but apparently we're coming to the end of that.
Right. So they're trying to fix that. I hope they do some more work on the performance issues. I'm still hitting a few issues here and there with Arena. But regardless, all of this stuff is super positive. Yes, I would still like to see friend list and being able to spectate on your friends and stuff.
You know what?
Just give me that by
still
launch.
In beta. We're still making things.
Right.
I'm happy with all the things they've announced. They announced 4 or 5 things. Mm-hmm. We've all got our wish list items. But those are hopefully coming later. Everything that they announce is great.
Absolutely. So the Chronicles events are terrific, and the new ones I think are great. And Arena is just making terrific decision after terrific decision. So you keep that up, Wizards. You're doing a good job there. Rise of the Gatewatch is coming out soon. It's going to be a new book that is going to be a visual history of the Gatewatch. I'll bring up a little tweet here so you guys can see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Weird. Why does this book look like this? This is a small little, what is this, 6x6?
It is kind of weirdly small when you kind of look at this video. It's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the book is maybe 8 inches tall or so from just what I can see here.
I will say whoever's turning the pages in this video has very nice fingernails.
I was going to say, this seems like Aaron's wheelhouse.
I saw that cuticle you posted the other day.
I know. I don't want to talk about it.
Someone in chat notes that they have it and it's great. And I think that's awesome.
Good.
I mean, there's definitely sketches and art and, and backstory on all of the Planeswalkers, obviously the Gatewatch and what they mean and the ventures they had. So it looks really cool. And if
it's like a neat little book. The problem is that with the art books, which are massive coffee table books,
right,
and the new novels that are coming out, which are traditional, books that you might find in an airport bookstore size. This isn't going to sit on your bookshelf very comfortably. Is my only issue with it. I wish it was more standardized, but whatever.
Okay then.
If that's my complaint, then we're good.
I mean, we have someone in the chat who said it's great. Someone who said they kind of regret buying it. So, your mileage may definitely vary.
Right, exactly.
So the Grand Prix head judges, they have a certification program where they basically say,
Sorry, did you
I know. I heard it too.
Certification. I'm sorry.
Certification.
Certification.
Come on down to the Grand Prix head judge station. Get
Hail for y'all. We figure he's gonna get some judges, and they said,
"Hailfire!"
And they was like, "Well, we're gonna renew all these people." There are no new Grand Prix head judges joining the group this wave, they said. And there was a reaction on Twitter here from.
That is a weird sentence that has a lot of threads.
Why was this judge coming in hot there? I'm calling it a certification program is a bit much.
Whoa. All right. Shots are fired.
I was going to say, there's a lot of threads that poke out from the line, there are no new judges, et cetera, et cetera.
There is no new judges in your program. Look.
That can't be good, right?
No. John Temple here at Zombie Judge on Twitter says no new Grand Prix head judges for the second wave in a row. And all were renewed that applied for renewal. No one in a year, quote, proved themselves worthy to be part of this group. This isn't very exciting for the future of the program. The fix that seems to have been proposed was to have them head judge board MCQs, considering that most have head judged several, and this seems like a poor solution. He believes strongly that a departure from the program's love of essay writing contests is vital to its future.
That's not the first time I've heard judges talk about that. The fact that there's a lot of paperwork involved with being a judge, and you have to write these reviews. And I've heard that, I've heard people give that as a weakness or a shortcoming of the program, that, you have to do all of this. And I'm constantly seeing high-level judges remind people to do your reviews, do your whatever. I know at least 2 people I follow that have said this is the reason why I didn't stay in the judge program, was because I didn't want to do all this homework. And so it was interesting to see this come from John. John just recently stepped down as an L3 for his region. And so I feel the same way about this that I feel when Alexis Jansen goes on a tangent, or Kelly Diggs goes on a tangent. People who are no longer with Wizards anymore, when they don't feel beholden to bite their tongues anymore. And so John, kind of no longer being an L3 and feeling free enough to say this is very enticing.
Right. And yeah, I mean, this is something that they've kind of pushed over the years, is that you need to do reviews, you got to be in depth, you got to be thorough, you got to give them feedback, you got to give them actionable feedback, and so on and so forth. And maybe, between the concerns with organized play and the idea that the judge program doesn't seem to be growing, that is very concerning, I think, all the way around.
It's tough when competitive this is a side effect of competitive tabletop Magic lowering itself in size, which we've sort of danced around that topic a little bit. I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but basically the big events are getting smaller. The big table events are getting tabletop events are getting smaller. And as a result, there is less need for the high level judges. When your F&M is going up in population, you need more L1s. You don't necessarily need more regional coordinators, right? You don't need more L4s. You don't need more GP level head judges. Maybe you do need more regional coordinators now that I'm thinking about it.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Right. But it's a symptom rather than a problem in and of itself in general. But then there's also, I'm a layman when it comes to the inner workings of the judge program and how the levels are chosen and awarded and certified and things like that.
It's a lot of sacrifice. There's chickens involved. We don't.
Sure.
You don't go in there.
Apparently, there's a lot of writing involved, which I am a big fan of as someone who writes a lot.
And then
the uniforms aren't very flattering. That was the thing that kept me from being a judge, was I couldn't get on board with the outfits. Where I tried asking, I was like,
it's very slimming.
I was like, can I be Dazzle? And they were like, no. And I was like, can I wear epaulets? And they were like, no. And I was like, what? Right. I also had a cat at the time, and trying to keep black clothing clean when you have a cat is impossible.
That's fair.
Yeah. Right.
Legitimate
roadblocks, right, for the future of the program.
Magic judges and we've talked about Magic judges a lot on the show, not recently, but a lot on the show. They are a integral part of what makes Magic work. Mm-hmm. Tabletop Magic will die without the judge program. I am fully 100% convinced that the judge program will die. And I will add to that without the large tabletop events, the judge program will die, because there's no impetus for new people to improve, to join, to learn, and to grow. If there's no, if the mountaintop is no longer there to aspire to, people will simply not do it.
Yeah.
You have your local rules experts, but a judge program does require those, the second level, third level judge levels to be able to teach new people. That's the other thing about this that's really upsetting, is that, when you don't have new people coming in, you get older. You're going to lose those upper level judges at some point, and no one's going to be there to replace them. So this is a tough situation, and there's so many threads to talk about here.
Well, here's the concern. The concern that I have is that Wizards doesn't care. They just don't care. They just don't care. The judge program is hurting. Oh, crap. All that thing ever brought us was lawsuits and pain and uncomfortableness and these promos that we try to make that we have to give to them, but we can't just give to them because then there's tax reasons. That's a problem. Then they have to have this program where they have to do all these essays to somehow try to get them, and then sort of a weird popularity contest. it's kind of a hot mess. It's just one of those, like, we're watching more writing on the wall of organized play is either is in trouble, or is being ignored, or is hurting in some way, and Wizards has decided to not intervene in any other way that we can see to stop it.
I mean, not only is Live Magic getting less money from Wizards because they're pumping a lot more of it into their online client, which, again, seems to be working. But it's
working for now. I mean,
right.
we're seeing short-term gains, but, you know, we've said it before on the show, you know, how long is this going to last? You know, is this a Kylie Jenner situation, or is this a Coco Chanel situation? Is this a longevity of a brand, or is this short-term, you know, incredible gains? You know,
I'm sure all of our audience got
I had
that.
no idea what you were talking about there.
Is the Judge program and is the loyalty of these paper Magic players worth sacrificing to this thing? You know, 5 years from now, are we going to say that was a good idea to do that? You know,
right? So. It's just uncomfortable. If you heard earlier, I made a mistake where this show is brought to you by our friend Sam on Heuristic Studies. I am not going to try that artist name. I'm not doing it. I have standards. I have rules I live by.
Sidharth Chaturvedi.
Sidharth Chaturvedi.
Chaturvedi. Sorry, Chaturvedi.
Chaturvedi. Hey, I'm just repeating.
I'm just glad you didn't call him Sidharth Chaturvedi, to be honest.
Right. Wow.
This could have gone way worse.
Sidharth Chaturvedi. Got it. You're done. Good. Well, obviously Sam makes incredible videos. This is another, you know, example of his mastery there. He did a great job, and now you know where that weird, you know, this show is brought to you by.
He'd been gone for a minute too, so this was a nice. Sam's one of those people I really like because he has really redefined how people create content in terms of a schedule. A lot of the YouTubers are just churning videos out. The sky is blue, make a video. I opened a pack, make a video. Sam spends months working on videos. You don't hear from him for a while. He's not terribly active on social media, and he's incredibly successful. He has been a very big advocate in terms of putting all of your time in and taking your time to create a quality product as opposed to buying into the sort of assembly line, you know, YouTube model. And, you know, he's even inspired me for a while. You know, one of the reasons why I stopped doing the deck teas was because I had locked myself into this weekly, bi-weekly model. And if God forbid I ever brought it back, he would be somebody that I would take a cue from in terms of, I'm going to take a month and find the right person to interview and make it a good interview and not feel like I have to just churn product out. And so I think he's somebody that a lot of other content creators can learn from in that regard. In terms of, you know, how to a work ethic and image and things like that. Just a great human being.
Yep. And the artist Sidharth is Sid, as most people know him, is on the verge of a Noah Bradley or Seb McKinnon style explosion with his unique style. He's the type of artist that you go, oh, that's a Sid piece.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can watch the video to see exactly why. And once you know what to look for, which this video did a great job, that's another thing that Sam does, is he takes these overlooked perhaps by the rest of the community artists and says, no, you need to pay attention to what's happening here.
Yeah.
And he also really hits the artists that are like nose to the grindstone, pumping out new stuff. Which
it's funny because somebody had asked him why he doesn't do a Rebecca Gay video, #Gay Pride, and he explained it in a couple of tweets. And one of the reasons being that, like, you know, he has very good reasons, and so you can sort of follow him on Twitter. But he just has an eye for, like you said, sort of finding those artists that are up and coming, the people that could really use the exposure, the people that are welcome to it. And again, just finding a niche that hadn't been filled before, these sort of documentary style videos nobody else was doing. And he capitalized in that, and there's just no one else.
All right, so let's move on here to Desperate Ravings. We don't have a lot, and boy, let's start out with the uncomfortable garbage. Again, lots of warnings and things of violence and stuff.
Look, man, we got to talk about it.
I talk about it because it is our job. Conley Woods was dropped from Direwolf Digital. They say the team at Direwolf believes in consent and equality. They were shocked and saddened by the week's news involving Conley Woods and expressed their unconditional support for the alleged victim. They found out about the situation on Tuesday afternoon when they hadn't heard from him in a couple days. While we don't know more than what has been reported, the details that have emerged thus far are antithetical to the concept of consent regardless of intent. event, and they have terminated their working relationship with Mr. Woods effective immediately and have no further comment.
Shankies.
This is, whenever you hear anyone say, "Oh, we can't talk about it," point them to this. Boy, this is what you do, family, when you need to cut ties.
Cut, done, here, bye.
This is a very, very well done statement.
Absolutely. So,
well, Direwolf is what, LSV and P Sully. They weren't going to half-step a statement.
There's a ton of folks who are Direwolf, and they're not going to mince words when.
Right. It's a murderer's row of like PT All-Stars in that company.
Right.
Yeah.
That said, speaking of PT All-Stars in that company, GP Denver happened over the weekend.
Indeed.
611 players is what I heard.
Low, but lowest in 10 years?
114 people made day 2, and everybody but 3 of them made money.
But wasn't this the lowest attended one since like Lorwyn sealed, wasn't it?
It's bad. It's really, really bad. At 616 players, April King noted that GP Denver was the lowest U.S. Grand Prix attendance since GP Phoenix in 2006. In 2008, GP Denver had 625 players show up for Lorwyn Shadowmoor Block Constructed.
Yikes. LSV won this thing, and like nobody knew. Like, this is something that should have been
one with a brand new archetype that took the event by storm, too.
Skateship had a huge weekend. That was the breakout deck. Mullabik, who is Gabby's mods, he went like 12-0, had an undefeated, beautiful record. There were a lot of stories that could have happened this weekend had there been, video coverage. Watching LSV in the finals is always a huge draw. And nobody knew. And then God bless, Gabby and other people for live tweeting about it, because we wouldn't have known.
I mean, this is exactly the type of things that ultimately, we're starting to see, I think, the slow death of these events as we once knew them. As we once knew them to be multi-thousands of people who are showing up to play Magic, because it just feels like another, again, writing on the wall. Hasbro's like, would you just stay home and give us money for these ones and zeros and not have to, like, go get a hotel room and go pay for a bunch of food and make a bunch of, make us some vacation time and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and the price of the entry fee has only gone up. It's $100 to enter or whatever. And I saw that Nathan Holiday,
can we talk about that for a second? Because
I'll let you talk about Nathan Holiday once I'm done with my sentence.
Sure.
So Nathan Holiday finished like 36th or something, like top 2% of the field, and made $600 for his $100 entry fee.
Yeah.
You add on people who aren't local, like LSV could drive from his house, but you add on people who have to fly there. Denver's not the easiest city in the world to get to. It's 5-hour drive from Salt Lake. That's the only, maybe 8 hours from Vegas drive. You're not getting to Denver super easy. So it's just very cost prohibitive.
Yeah. Nathan Holiday, somebody who was grinding pretty hard as of a couple of years ago and stopped, and was known for having this huge, almost afro of red hair. Cut all the hair off, showed up in a dress shirt, and like, that's a glow up, my friends. Like, people did not recognize him, or it's like, that's Nathan Holiday, like, work.
All right, so almost done here, but we do have a few more stories noting that Magic Online has a problem with people trying to rip off its leagues.
Now they're doing it in Vintage,
where a group of players are entering a league together. The idea is that they will play only each other, and they will scoop to each other. And even if you go 0-5, as long as your friend goes 5-0, you're actually up on your entry fee and the prizes. And obviously you repeat that over and over, and you start to see really weird, stupid decks start to show up in the the league 5-0 decks, and it's been reported not only now in Vintage, it's happened in Pauper. And
it's particularly the formats with smaller audiences. For a while there, the Pauper leagues were seeing less than 100 people at a time, and so you can't really do it with Legacy where there's 400 or Modern, because it would be impossible to fix the queues. But if you get a small enough group of people together, and you can tell by what really kind of set off the alarm bells was there was like a mono green deck that didn't even have a sideboard at one point. It was like a mono black Pox list in Vintage, which was just completely unfeasible. And so, this is something that is happening again, and can have long-term effects in terms of getting trophies, getting tickets. If you earn enough points, you could be qualifying for events, even leading up to a Mythic that you might not have earned. And it throws off the results when people are looking at these deck lists that, particularly with Pauper and Vintage, where there aren't a lot of deck lists to begin with. And so you really do rely on those Moto results to show you what's going on. And when you see some ramshackle, heritage druid deck in Vintage, it's 5 colors, and you're like, what is going on here?
it's something to note here is that, and this is the really sad reality, is that you'll sit in the queues late at night and you'll get paired with somebody, and the timer will expire because they're just waiting to be paired up to one of the friends.
They want to get paired against their friend. Yeah,
exactly. The people who are ripping off the program. Magic Online actually responded and said, we're reviewing and we'll take the appropriate actions. We're also investigating better long-term solutions. I mean, the first solution is to get those decks off your website because they're embarrassing, and then ban the living garbage out of every person you find doing this, and they get nothing. No soup for you, no account, no cash out, no transfer. You lose all your crap, you go home, and you don't come back.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
Oh God, can we please talk about the girl who threw her cat?
I'll give you a few seconds of the girl who threw her cat, then we got to keep on to the finisher.
There's been a bit of a kerfuffle in the streaming world. There's a young lady who goes by Alinity, I believe. She's a very, very prominent streamer. Alinity recently came under fire for throwing her cat over her shoulder during a stream. And come to find out, there are other clips of her at one point feeding her cat vodka. And there's another clip of her kicking her dog when the dog was messing with the cat. Somebody notified PETA in Canada.
Oh my God.
And so PETA petitioned Twitch to have her banned from Twitch. And so there's been a huge kerfuffle about this. Apparently she's been awful for a while. But yeah, this is, we love to talk about streamers doing dumb things. And we've certainly covered, the racist streamers, we've covered the homophobic streamers, but now we're getting into the animal abuse streamers. And for the love of God, if you do this to animals in general, you do not deserve to hit animals, but particularly if you do it on camera, do not expect somebody to not notice and not call the authorities on you.
It was just like, did you just throw your cat, man? For real? What are you doing? And then it's just not just that, right? It's like, oh my God, she threw her cat. And then you're like, well, it's better. She also fed it liquor. And I'm like, what? Why are we doing this?
And the fact that PETA got involved is just like, oh boy.
And you're doing it on stream? Oh my God, why?
Yeah, so it was a new form of streamers doing dumb things.
It's just weird. That's really weird. Don't throw your animals, guys. Seriously. I shouldn't even have to tell you this. Okay. We're going to turn the corner here to the finisher, where we're going to first do ourselves a giveaway. Make that giveaway happen. We're going to pick our winner to see who is going to get this from Ruben.
Yes, and if you are in the chat, you can tell me if you're like the one person that wanted me to sign this, I can do that. Otherwise, I can just not do that.
Well, let's hope it's Magius. Magius 1
nice.
Is the winner of the premium promo pack and the signed Look, I'm the DCI card from Mark Rosewater. Yay, congratulations.
Couple of things.
Please see Ruben.
I also have this extra. I have a couple of these posters, and since I'm sending something out, I thought I might send one of these as well. There was an MTG art show here in Los Angeles last fall, and it came with this exclusive poster of Nissa. This one's kind of beat up. I'll send you a better one than this one.
Oh, that's neat.
That's so cool.
But it's sort of like a stylized Nissa print that they gave away at the Gallery 1988. And yeah, I'll ship one of those as well.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations again to Magius1. See Ruben on Twitch here or a social channel.
Yeah, I don't have you blocked on Twitter.
He largely doesn't.
Either.
So,
the night's young. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I will, I'll say, hi, this is Ruby in the chat. And you can whisper me here if you want to, or you can send me a message somewhere else. Or bother Aaron.
Yeah.
Because bothering Aaron's fun.
We're going to be getting to the thanks here in just a minute, but first we have to turn the corner to the finisher. You might not know it from the coverage of it on our Magic the Gathering news show, but Magic the Gathering is holding a competitive championship event this weekend. The artist formerly known as the Pro Tour, Mythic Championship IV, Mythic Championship with a Vengeance, is coming to you live from Barcelona, Spain this weekend in the ever-popular Modern format. Now, here's a fascinating little detail. Did you know that Magic still makes physical Magic cards? And the event this weekend will be using them? Weird, right? So tell me, as time soldiers on and all the snow-covered lands that were just printed in Modern Horizons start to melt back into regular basics, what are you hoping for this weekend at MC4, Aaron?
Well, Jund is supposed to have a big weekend thanks to a resurgence fueled by the new 2-mana Planeswalker, Wrenn and 6. They like to say that when black-green rock is good, the format is healthy. And there's nothing I like to get my hands on more than a nice, hard rock deck.
Oh my God. Ruben.
That got a lot. That I apologize. Hopefully,
God.
put your.
You wrote it. You wrote it.
I wasn't expecting quite. So I apologize to all the parents out there.
Ruben.
So Neoform combo has been a boogeyman and will be heading into this weekend. It's capable of turn 2 kills and a much more consistent game plan thanks to the new London Mulligan, meaning that despite an entire block devoted to Magic's most badass creature type, the only good dinosaur in Constructed is somehow Allosaurus Rider.
It really
From Cold Snap.
Yeah.
Oh,
work.
jeez. Goblins is back, baby. It's been a minute, but thanks to a ton of reprintings like Goblin Warchief, Goblin Ringleader, Goblin Matron, Pashalik Mons, Munitions Expert, Sling Gang Lieutenant, and even more, Goblins is here to stay. But somehow, my good buddy, pal and friendo, Warren Instigator, still isn't good enough.
Still not good enough.
What a world.
You know?
Two Goblin Lackeys, no top 8s.
Stapled together.
Correct.
Jeez.
Unbelievable. Oh my God. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start our thanks here. Excuse me. I want to cover our subscribers first. Arcane Lore, subscribed for 13 months in a row and says over a year, and the show just gets better. Aw.
Thank you.
New Life Dante, resub for 6 months. Thank you so much. Dankliest Nugs, resub for 9 months.
There's nothing I like better than the Twitter or the Twitch names that get laughs every time.
Yes. Dankliest Nugs every time has their sub baby for 9 months. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. Let's see. Sheth DMMD, resub for 10 months, said they sure staved off perpetual spoiler season from SDCC by a whole week.
Wow.
Viva La Commander. Super Nintendo Chalmers 1998, resub for 11 months. Thank you so much.
What's the quote?
They didn't give us one this time.
No quote this time.
Unless it just didn't show up, but I don't see one. Faux Hammer, sub via Prime. Thank you so much for those Bezos bucks.
Yeah.
Big Lou 154, resub for 5 months.
Big
Thank you.
Lou.
Halfway to the sub, baby, and still no idea what an MPL is. Thank you for keeping us in the loop. You're the real MVPs. Absolutely. We still don't know. And Heebs Eternal has subscribed via Prime. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Ruben, if you want to talk about our bit givers.
Absolutely, Evan. Because I'm giving away the Mark Rosewater signed card, I figured that Mark Rosewater should be thanking our weekly top cheerers. We're going to go through all of the ones that we got yesterday and today because that's what I have in my list. Shame, MTG, 69 bits. That isn't... I can turn down my volume for you.
Jesus Christ.
I love that your Mark Rosewater impression just warps reality. Like taters happen, sound warps.
69 bits, very nice. Thunder Voice _1, 100 bits. House of Shadow, 169 bits. That's also very nice. Smokehouse, 200 bits. Martin Casa, 300 bits. Chris RD 19, 514 bits. A number of those yesterday were giving us cows for on the show.
Multiple cows were provided.
Marchesa, 14,200 bits. Thank you so much to everybody who cheered this week. And we hope you like Throne of Eldraine.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was awesome. As Mark Rosewater has his own impressionist in the community.
And Mark, when I was talking to him this weekend, I don't know if everybody saw I tweeted out when I was getting this sign, I went up to the front and Steve Sunu is standing there and says, "Oh, by the way, this is Ruben. He does the Broken Pact. He does some magic stuff." And Mark Rosewater says, "Oh, I know. He does an impression of me on the show." And then gives me like a sly glance.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, that said, that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and keep an eye out for our social media channels because we've all got Patreon streams to do. So hopefully we'll be giving you guys a show this weekend.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. And I think that we are going to be hosting somebody along the after the show.
Who are we hosting?
Rating somebody. I gave a couple of suggestions. Let me make sure that they're both online.
Okay, that helps. Well, while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and
one of them is online.
Finish out here. We'll make sure you leave that one in there.
Yep.
We move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes or Spotify. Or join us here in 2 weeks. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.